Welcome to Uncover the Human, where every conversation revolves around enhancing all the connections in our lives.
Whether that's with our families, coworkers, or even ourselves.
When we can be our authentic selves, magic happens.
This is Cristina Amigoni.
And this is Alex Colomore.
Let's dive in.
Welcome back to another episode of Uncover the Human. We have a return guest today. Welcome back to the podcast, Bailey Massey.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, welcome back. And, communication is still a thing. So
is it?
It's still a thing that needs to be worked on. So there's plenty of topics to talk about with Bailey.
Absolutely.
You don't remember, Bailey works in communication coaching. And one thing we were just discussing that's on everybody's minds currently is the impact of AI on how we're thinking, how we're communicating, and whether it's acceptable. Or M- is okay is the real question.
And what do you think when you see them?
Yes. Yeah. And what do you think when you see them?
Because I know I see them and I immediately go, it's AI. I no longer am like, wow, they really listened in English class. It's now like, and I hate that. That's terrible.
Yeah, I think it was a huge flag for me when people started using the word M-. I was like, wow, I don't think anybody knew this one. And it was like...
Probably not.
Didn't realize they knew what it was called for the longest time. And then suddenly it became just, if you have it, it's AI. Like, no, I did used to use those. And now I can't, so otherwise I feel like I'm AI. I feel like we're in a reverse captcha world. Instead of, we're all proving that we're not bots in our writing now.
Yeah, dumb it down a little bit, not too much, but just enough to not look like an overly robotic, not human.
Yeah. Yeah. Use complete sentences, but don't use complete sentences. Finish your thoughts. That's another thing I've seen recently about like a telltale that you're using clauses is when you actually finish a thought in your sentence. I'm like, I always finish my thoughts in my sentences.
What?
Like I did way before Claude existed, but now I can't do it. Now I have to leave thoughts open because if not, you used Claude.
Oh my gosh, I hadn't heard that one. So it's kind of like we went from like, are people talking like they text now? Or like writing like they text. So like if you actually use grammar.
Yeah, exactly. Which I do in my texts too.
You're like, I am very eloquent in every text. I love it. Oh man. I didn't know that was, people must think I'm a full-on robot. That's terrible.
Well, I love that more the AI takes of human writing, the more it's like, well, okay, but that is how you write. Like you do have to occasionally, I think, this personal preference, you do have to complete a thought occasionally. I'm biased.
I know.
It is. I'm right there with you, but now I'm like, maybe that is the problem. Maybe people aren't. Although that is part of what I coach people for is their thought organization, their ability to wrap things up. And a common challenge is I just don't know how to finish and I just keep going and going and going. So I guess it does present. Man, it's really taking over. I don't know. I don't like it. I do like it. I like it for some things. I don't like that part of it, I should say.
Yes.
So what are things that you guys notice as flags? I think I noticed rhythm is a huge one. Like when it's all over LinkedIn now, that everybody has these 2-line, it wasn't this, it was this. It wasn't that, it was this. When you use that maybe once, it might be okay. Use that 3 times in a post, okay, this was a bot.
Yeah. I'm trying to think the other things that I notice. And the big one that I have a personal vendetta against is the listing of 3 things, because that is a preference of mine that I've had since I could write essays in school. And I feel like that is a giveaway. So that's one that I know other people identify, but I will not let it go. I will continue to do that. But I do sometimes delete one of the examples just to prove that I'm human.
What I find fascinating is the fact that the whole purpose, I think, Alex, you can correct me, but isn't the whole purpose of the large language model is to learn how to be more human in content creation? It learns. It's if we do these things, it's going to learn, and next time it's going to do it. And so the AI is learning some things, maybe not others, but some things that, again, like we've said, like M dashes, the list of 3 things. finishing a thought, all things that we've done as humans. And that's the purpose of the AI, is to learn what we've done as humans, but now we can't use them because then people can't trust us because we use the AI. But it's like, but this is all reversed.
Yeah, you have to like throw a mistake in there, have
Yes.
a misspelling, a random word. I don't know, like use a little tiny bit. Like, what's the level of bad grammar you can put in to still be respected? Like, where does the balance happen? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. I also feel like people are using it more for everything in terms of things that they don't need it for. So, like your resume or your cover letter for things, or even just like basic emails. I know some people don't even write emails anymore. They just let whatever was it Gemini? Is that one of them that a lot of like Microsoft has?
Gemini, Copilot.
Oh
Microsoft
yeah, that
is
one.
Copilot.
Where they just have them respond, and my whole focus is communication, and that teams need to collaborate and interact because you need to be on the same page, consistent messaging, all of those things. And if you don't even know what email you sent because you just had whatever generate it, that's a problem.
That's why I think it's hilarious that we do things like that. Like at some point, we're just going to get like a headline of a company that was sold to another company because two bots were talking to each other and then sign all the paperwork. And like everybody's going to go to work one day and be like, oh, we don't have emails anymore. Our agent sold it. It was.
Didn't even
I
realize.
think we're in an interesting time where I think it's interesting that we seem to be at this uncanny valley portion of AI where it's close to human sounding. There's some things look close. We don't often have the 9 fingers in a picture generated from a person anymore. Like we're getting better at that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better at like imitating humans to the point where we're now, like you said, Bailey, introducing bad grammar back into our emails just to try and sound like a human. But we're at this kind of spot where you can still kind of tell that it just doesn't seem to have a soul to it. There's something just not. It's close, but it's off, and there's something noticeable, I think, in human. We notice like this isn't it.
Yeah, I think that is like the tone that like it tries to tone, but we can't truly or a computer can't really do tone. It can try to sound as much as it can, but it doesn't have the vocal quality that we rely on and react to. Body language is out of the question. It has none. So there's no gestures, there's no expression. So I think that it's lacking, but we're depending on it as if it could, I guess. I don't know.
I think I'm curious about from like your point of view, Bailey, and Cristina and I have seen this a little bit in our work too. But Bailey, you have the communication end of things, and I think people like there's a weird adamancy that everybody has to adopt AI. That like, oh, you're gonna fall behind. You're not here. You haven't done it. Everybody's just gonna have to get over it and do it. And I feel like when we say things like advocate for human usage or human thought or communication or body language, sometimes it sounds like because there's such an adamant group of people like telling us that it has to be AI, it sounds almost like we're justifying the fact that we have to communicate. But I think that we've really missed the point of communication in the first place, which was that's how we connect. That's how we actually express things. That's how anything gets done. That's how we express and actually communicate anything to one another. We can't have that connection if we don't do this in a more human way. You can't just have your autoresponder bot doing it all. And I think that we're missing, it's not just that an email was responded, we're missing the actual intangible of the email, intangible of the communication.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny you say that because years ago, I had a client who worked for Google and was on whatever their AI thing was.
Gemini.
I think it's Gemini.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But he had said something so interesting, and he talked about how people need to learn how to understand it and regulate it. But he was like, it's language, it's communication, it's patterns. He's like, I would love to find a way to create a way to communicate with our animals, our pets, and I was like, okay, yes, do that. And
Yes.
that there's that's such a connection focused perspective, but that's not at all the direction that we're in. Now it's just how can we how can we do things faster? How can we've like I actually saw a post somewhere this morning about how corporations and technology developers have recognized that they've met the cap of what they can use people for. And so now it's like, okay, well, we've used them up. Let's find something else. And it's kind of, okay, great. So we're just going to keep trying to, it feels gross. I want to talk to the dogs.
Yes. They probably don't want to talk to us,
True.
But yes, because they're like,
my dog would love it.
I know. All the animals are out there looking at this and thinking like, you guys have no idea how to do this life thing. It's like, I don't know what you're doing, but we're still going to be here when you all implode and no longer exist.
Right. How to do this life thing. That's so funny. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't understand the narrative of like we've used up the people. Like I've seen it. Like we're now at the end. Like we're reaching the people capacity, and we can move beyond people. Like first of all, nothing that I've seen would suggest that. And secondly, why is that the goal? And thirdly, again, we just aren't there. Like even if you could do it, shouldn't we be like have some consideration for us as, I don't know, people about what our future should look like?
Yourself? I mean, you've confused unless you just turn into a bot, you've just eliminated yourself, right? We've used up all the people. We're done with the people. We've graduated humanness.
Move the tassel over.
That does include you, who are making the decision. You will be replaced as well if you go down this path.
Yeah. Well, and with that, like, it doesn't seem like we're thinking of the future, period. It's just very right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
But what, like, everybody talks about, like, what are AI safe careers or positions? And I don't, like, any of them could be. They were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, any of them could.
That way. But I don't, it's like, why are we trying to force it into everything?
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Speaking of AI safe careers, I had an ultrasound yesterday, and the whole time I was like, I am so glad I'm doing this with a human, and I hope I'm not around when this becomes a robot, because there's no freaking way I'm getting an ultrasound with a robot.
Oh, man.
Like, I was so grateful to actually be with humans.
Yeah, well, and I feel like, especially with a lot of medical things, there's usually, even if it's like routine stuff, or like, for example, when I was pregnant, having an ultrasound, you want to ask questions and be like, what does that mean? Is this, and like have somebody's genuine response come to you, as opposed to, this is normal, abnormal. Like, if you're like, like, that would be terrible. Yeah. I would not. Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting to think about that.
It's a hilarious but horrifying mental image of like a robot voice being like, this is going to be a little pinch. Like,
yes, exactly. You're going to feel a little pressure.
I was listening to a news story that they now have robotic massage therapists in Denver at a place, and they also have humans. But they have introduced these machines that you can customize to the type of massage, the intensity, all those things. And they said that it is really appreciated for people who have any trauma or have injuries but don't want to be touched. And it's like, okay, I get that. Like, so there's a benefit, but I feel like we take like the sliver of benefit and necessity and just make it.
Yeah, and then it becomes a norm. It's like, now everybody gets robot masseuses, which I'm sorry, but didn't Sharp Image do that for like 25 years with the little pillows that you put on your neck and it's got the balls moving around? We didn't need AI for that. They've already tried, and they've shut down all their stores.
There's that. Yeah.
The cautionary tale. I think that's exactly it, Bailey, because there are like it's not that there aren't use cases. That can be a very there are plenty of use cases. It just doesn't have to be everything, because as we've seen with Salesforce having to go, sheepishly come back out and be like, hey, we shouldn't have laid off 4,000 people. It actually hurt a lot of customer trust. We couldn't replace this. Like, maybe there was a use case, but you didn't even test it, and then you rushed ahead and you assumed it was going to do everything. Like, I don't understand the fervor to try. Like, experimentation, great. Go try and see if it can do things. The immediate belief that it can do it all and that we should replace everything that already existed is wild. It's so fast and so destructive.
I feel like that's just greed, isn't it?
Feels like
yes.
it.
Like, how can we make more money, not
Yes.
care about the people that have been here?
Yes.
Stop it.
And it's
Look how much we're
greed
saving
that
on
will
our
get you
P&L.
to, yeah, exactly. Well, and I was talking about this with Abby on our team yesterday because she was, we were just, I can't remember why the topic came up, but it was really about, all the layoffs. Meta just did another 8,000 where they told everybody stay home, work from home week, so that they could lay them off with an email at 4 a.m., which, I mean, that should just be criminal. But it is in China, so but it is criminal in other places.
And a robot comes and arrests you, which is really just puts the cherry on top.
Yeah, but part of the what I think the problem is that you've got a stock market that rewards this.
It's a good
And
point.
it's like if the stock market stopped rewarding layoffs, these layoffs would not be happening. Because it is greed, and everybody's trying to get more money and more power. God knows to do what with it, because you still have only 2 hands and 2 feet. So, but it's like, can we take the reward out of these things? Because even if just the stock market reward of layoffs to the P&L would change, you would probably see a lot less companies doing layoffs.
Yeah. How do we make that happen? Who do we talk to?
The dinosaurs figure out which asteroid hit the Earth and start all over again.
I think we call the AI bots that are now screening calls for our representatives and tell them about this.
Right?
I had a weird experience. I called a plumber for something this week, and I got put to it was an AI bot, but it was very much trying to sound human, to the point where not only was it sounded like a human and answered as if it was a human, it also, they had put in background noise, so it sounded like this was a person in a call center.
No.
I was like, what are we doing here? How is that better? And it's so much more confusing. I was like, is this a person? Is this not a person? Also, why is there a call center at my plumber? Why? Like, it's one person. I don't think they're at plumbers. Do you have 12 people out there at a switchboard for how many plumbing calls? Like, it was insane, and it was very disconcerting because it was fairly clear it was not a bot, but it was a pretty good imitation of a voice, and so it kept being like, am I talking to a human or am I not? Which threw me off from just saying like, oh, my toilet's broken. Like it really just tossed the entire message out the window.
Well, and that must be how like the elderly are completely taken advantage of so many times, because it's hard. It's not just like pictures that you have to second guess. Now it's like audio. That's terrible. Oh my gosh. I get probably 1 or 2 job postings a week from LinkedIn for voice. How did they describe it? I should look and see. But it's just like a voice coach for AI, where they're like, oh, based on your experience, you would be great for this role, to basically give feedback to that plumbing AI representative to like kind of say, oh, their pitch needs to go here, their tone needs to go here, to try to like customize it to make it more in line. And because I had originally seen it and thought it was like a voiceover like interview or job, and I had sent it to a friend who does voiceover, and she's like, oh yeah, I definitely don't want to support AI taking my job. And I was like, what do you mean? And then she told me what, and I was like, oh, that's what that is. I am so sorry. That's terrible. So, like, that's a whole thing that somebody is getting paid probably more than I get paid to do for a robot. So,
Eventually, so that robot can talk to another robot, but they'll have perfect tone with each other.
Yes. They'll be able to fake being a human to another robot.
yes. Oh my.
Robots writing emails back and forth to each other, being like, "Wait, is this
Are you
robot
human?
using
Are
an
you
M
human?
dash?"
I know.
Per my last email. Attitude in there.
Yes.
Have our data centers crashing by autoresponders just flying back and forth?
It's getting really frustrated.
Which goes back to like, what's the point? Where's that future finish line if all we're doing is trying to replace humans? Okay? And then what are the humans going to do?
Yeah. And why does nobody seem to care?
Why does nobody seem to care?
There's a lot of us.
I remember years ago, let's see, my son's 8.5, so it must have been like 8 or 9 years ago. And I was listening to a news story, and it was all about how, kids entering kindergarten today, the careers that they will have, the jobs that they will have when they graduate don't even exist yet. And my kid wasn't even born at that point. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, like what does that even mean? How do we prepare them? And so now we're also in this new situation where it's like the careers don't exist, but also AI is going to do all the things, but then there also needs to be somebody who operates and is the thinker. So what do we do for our kids? How do we prepare them? Is it coding? No, I don't know. Maybe. Just no idea.
Well, a couple of things come to mind. I'm just going to brainstorm here because this has been on my mind a lot. Like, what are we supposed to do, and how are we supposed to prepare? And I think if they're going to keep trying to replace all people, then there's a paradigm shift about what is the value of being, alive and working and contributing. Like, instead of it just being, okay, now we're going to have to tie things like healthcare to a job, and we're going to have to make sure that like everybody, you have employment or you're suffering. Think, well, if there's not that much employment to go around, but we still have a lot of people, then we need to rethink what it means to contribute. And then I think there is definitely value in what you're talking about, just in trying to learn to be the thinker. Can you be the person who can actually evaluate these things? And because that's what you're going to have to do anyway, even if you're not doing that for a job, you're going to have to do that in every piece of your life. What are politicians saying? What is this bot emailing me about? What is it a bot that's emailing me? All of that critical thinking is going to become incredibly important, and that will be important whatever career exists. I mean, we're all on a podcast now. None of that existed when we were in high school. None of that existed when we were all going through and trying to create careers. But the ability to think about, hey, what does this mean? And is this if this is a form of medium? If this is how can we use this? Training people to think about what's worth doing would be a huge benefit, instead of just, I think, continually thinking about what's a profitable career and what's going to allow you to live a stable life, because we've proven that we don't seem to care about stability, and we're fine with throwing it over if it's convenient for a few people. So what do we actually focus on, and how do we help ourselves and help each other not be consumed by that?
Yeah, maybe it's those transferable skills that really need to be, instead of go to this tech school program. It's go to this critical thinking, communication, interpersonal awareness program, because that can apply to everything.
Yes. Learn how to communicate to other humans. Because there's still 8 billion of them.
Yeah. I don't know. We could solve all these problems if people would listen to us, I'm sure.
Yes, we definitely could.
So as long as this gets shared far and wide.
Yes.
Tell your friends.
Well, we've already advertised Copilot and Gemini, so some bot is probably going to pick this up in some way.
Right? Yeah, the little radar goes off.
Yes.
I think we are at an interesting point of transition, and this is something that was talked about. I've seen it discussed in the how quickly technology changes in general. Because even before AI, we've gone through a number of huge shifts. Things like social media came out, and that changed how we interact and ways we promote things, ways we communicate, ways we connect with each other. Those were all very, very different, and it takes us a little while to kind of inoculate ourselves, for lack of a better term, to the effects of that and figure out how we're going to use it well. And that's definitely, I think, going to be somewhat true with AI, when we're figuring out what's going to be valuable and not. But there's a period of transition that is extremely worrisome when it causes everybody this much stress, and it throws so many jobs for a loop, and throws people into this wonder of will I be able to find any work again if I lose a job? And what am I doing right now in my job that's going to threaten what I can do later? And if we don't start to solve some of those problems, I don't see how we regain some of the stability, because we've all seen a transition like this, but this one's really fast and particularly widespread.
Yeah, and I'm assuming for what you guys do within organizations to help them kind of pump the brakes a little bit is a huge part of it, in order to not just go, climb constantly. because that requires pause for that to be possible, I would think.
Which ironically ends up being the same advice we have been giving most of the time, which is, hey, have we really considered why we're making this change? Even before it was AI, it was just, hey, why are we doing this? What are the things? How are we going to know that we're being successful at this? And you can apply exactly those thoughts to AI. Why do we want to include AI? What do we hope to get out of this? How can we make sure we're actually moving towards that or reaching something where we're like, actually, this isn't going to do what we thought it was. Let's change course. All of these are standard, critical thinking tools. Just why I go back to that. I love that critical thinking academy that you suggested, Bailey, because I think you have to have those things. We are finding ourselves giving the same advice, but like you said, it's pumping the brakes. But because this is like this weird hyperaccelerator, it's hard to pump the brakes. You have to have a much stronger brake now.
Yeah. And you're fighting against tons of other people who are like, no, we need more. Don't let anything slow down a second.
Yes.
And if you do, you'll fall behind. And if that's, and then you'll be dramatic consequences. So, you got to keep pushing, even
Nobody
though none
knows
of us
what the
have any idea
consequences
where
are,
we're
by
going.
the way.
We don't know what they are, but they're
We
here.
don't know what they are, but they're drastic and they're dramatic. Nobody knows what the consequences are.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel like I get that with a lot of just individual professionals that I work with, where they have so much pressure on themselves that it's like unrealistic. And like, I get why, because that's the message that's being pumped down onto them. So they're very concerned about their performance and, the metrics, all the things. But then they also, it's like, well, what happens if you make a mistake? What happens if you don't meet that? Like, there's so many things are out of your control. And it's like, well, I don't know, but like, I'm so scared to find out. And there's no calm. We're just so anxious and just going a million miles an hour in every direction at the same time.
For millennia, we have had the phrase "to err is human," and yet we just can't accept it. We don't accept it at work. We don't accept it of ourselves. We believe we have to do all things perfectly. I'm just as guilty of this as anybody. Like, it's so much pressure to feel like, oh, I can't make a mistake. I can't look like I made a mistake.
Yes.
It's insane how imperfect we all inevitably are, and yet how high the expectation is to pretend like that's not the case.
Yeah. Except for when we write. Then we do insert mistakes so that we can feel like we're humans. We can look like humans because we are humans, and we can, hopefully establish some trust by making mistakes when we actually didn't make them.
So is AI helping us be more human because it's encouraging us to dumb down and make mistakes and be okay with it?
I think there's absolutely that opportunity.
Yes, I think there's definitely opportunity.
That's why I stopped organizing my thoughts.
Embrace. Yes. Maybe we can finally embrace it to err as human.
There you go.
Okay, let's just err all the time. Even when we don't want to do it.
So funny.
I drive my car straight into every Waymo.
Oh, I'm so glad those aren't in Denver, are they?
There's a couple of them.
So.
I've seen a couple downtown, yeah.
I know there's lots in LA, but I haven't seen many locally, and I'm grateful for that because they make me so nervous.
Yeah. There's something really disconcerting about looking over and seeing a car move on a road with nobody in it.
My car has autopilot, and I'm too scared to, I've tested it once for 30 seconds. I was like, okay, I'm good. It does it. Cool. No, never again. It just, I don't know. Maybe it's my control issues. Who knows?
I agree. It's worrisome. It's hard to let go of. I was driving down Floyd Hill, the really steep part of the going up to the mountains on I-70 there, and I was passed on the left by a Tesla that was filled with what looked like maybe 14-year-olds, all on their phones, nobody at the wheel. I was like, what was happening?
No.
I don't think anybody could even save this car if it needed somebody.
Wow.
This is worse than nobody being in there.
Yes. Especially because Floyd Hill is under construction. So it's not a normal traffic pattern right now. Well, it hasn't been for 10 years, and it's been under construction for another 10 years. But that is scary. That is very scary.
That was scary.
No, thank you. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
No.
AI has been really efficient at raising my cortisol, is what I'm saying. And it's doing it faster than almost anything else. And I got to appreciate it for that.
You've got velocity. There you go.
Yeah. The velocity of the blood flying through my veins.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. I'm avoiding it as much as possible, but also using it as much as I need it at the same time. So it's not like
Yes.
I'm absolutely not. Like I still use it
Yeah.
quite a bit, but with critical thinking.
Yeah, I mean, there was that ChatGPT outage a couple weeks back, and suddenly everybody was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." Like, guys, we haven't had AI that long. What do you mean you don't know what to do?
Do what you used to do 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh, I saw a post today. Somebody had said that like they can't believe that any of us wrote 10-page papers in college without it. And it's like, yeah, we did. And half the time we did it the night before. And
Yes.
we
Yes.
like cranked it out and
Yes.
made it happen. And like
Yes.
that has to be a skill that an entire generation is never going to have, whether it's the perseverance or like the
Yeah.
focus. I don't know, something that allowed us to just get it done.
Yes. Yeah. With paper and pen, not even be able to type, and then little like whiteout. I'm like, oh, made a mistake. Gotta white it out.
I had to
It's
explain
definitely
what it was to my son recently because I have like a roller one. Because
yes.
I have to write things down, just old habits die hard. But he was like, well, what's that for? And
Yes.
like, oh, so you can like cover it up and then rewrite. And he was like fascinated by it because he just like, yes, he writes at school, of course, but like delete, delete, delete. Like that's how you do formal things. Not so much.
Yeah. So how do we bring communication back into fashion?
How do we
Non-bot communication. Human
think-
communication. Human to human communication.
Are you thinking like text-based or verbal or both?
Why not
All of it.
both?
You know, one
Okay,
of
no,
the
let's
things
both.
that I appreciate, one of my favorite ads right now is from Chase. I don't know if you guys have seen the latest Chase ads. So they actually show like all these things where robots and AI has taken over. And this guy that's just kind of like, no, I don't want a robot making my latte. I don't want this. I don't want that. And then Chase saying like, you know, like, come to us. We're going to have humans greeting you, and you speak to a human, and and you interact with the human the whole time. And it's so brilliant because I think that's what people are craving.
Yeah.
Is I just want a human. I called 1-800-CONTACTS yesterday because I bought a frame and it didn't work out. And I never call. I usually send emails. And they picked up so fast that I thought it was a bot. And I'm like, oh wow, like this Adam guy really, you know, sounds human, but this was way faster than I expected to be, and I didn't have to press 15 buttons to even get to a human, so it's got to be a bot. But then as he was talking, I'm like, no, he's human. This is fascinating. So I was on the phone with him for like 20 minutes. It was so nice.
Wow. That's yeah, because you do automatically assume. And I feel like it reminds me of a similar issue. So in terms of like the communication, how do we bring that back? It reminds me of a conversation I had recently where talking about just community and how community is so important but nobody really has the accountability, the follow through on things. And she had said, everybody wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager.
Yes.
And I was like,
Yes.
that is fantastic. I will never forget that now. But I think that also relates to the idea of like we crave and want communication for the most part, but we also, whether it's because we're stressed, we're tired, we're overworked, we go for simplicity. And so is it easier to just send a text? Is it easier to do the email? You know, especially if people are working up till like 1 a.m, you can't call somebody. And so is it because we have literally no boundaries or guardrails on anything anymore that we're actually being better to not call the person at midnight? So I don't know. I don't know how to force that or like make people know that it's important.
No, that's a good point. I think that some of it, you know, when the ship drives enough into the iceberg, will happen kind of by default. We have to we'll have to figure out what we do next when things aren't working out. And I think that's part of what people are feeling. I like that sentence, the you everybody wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager. I think there's a huge part of that. And that to me sounds like more the education about what does it mean to be in a village. There's definitely we ran rampant without boundaries. We're now resetting boundaries. There's lots of talk about Gen Z's really strong on what they're gonna do and what they're not gonna do, which is I think a good change of pace, and it's causing a lot of frustration still. So finding that balance then, I think it's to equate it to my own therapy journey and the one that I've seen from a few people, there's a lot of understanding what boundaries are, realizing you don't have them, don't have enough of them, maybe going too far and creating them, and then figuring out what the balance is over time. And maybe, everybody starts at a different part of that spectrum, but I think there's going to be a learning curve and there's going to be a lot of room for education. It's just a question of how to get people to step in and want that education and find it.
Yeah, that pendulum swing. It's so well, and bringing it back to AI, I've had many friends who have done the full swing where it's like, I am terrified of it. I want nothing to do with it. It's horrible. Don't use it at all. And then all of a sudden they experiment with it. And then they're like, and then they use it for everything all the time. And it just goes from being like, never going to do it to, and I can't function without it. And so it's like, how do we stop the extremes? So can we just exist in the gray area a little bit?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the gray area is a good point because I use it and I do, and whenever there's a new technology, I don't really resist. When the internet came out, when email came out and cell phones came out, and there was no resistance, there was curiosity. But I find that it is true, you get these extreme spectrums of no, I'm never gonna use that. I had huge argument with my father, actually, who used to work for a technology company in 1996 or 1997. I think it was 1996 when the internet was starting to take hold and everybody started getting emails. It was still we're talking about Windows 3.1 was the operating system. So a long time ago.
You had to use your phone wire to get in.
Exactly. You had to go through the whole, fax sounding machine to even get on the internet. But it was him and his colleagues, and they were like, no, it's just a phase. It's just a phase. It's going to go away. And I'm like, this is not a phase. This is not going to go away. But it's hard when you have those extremes of I'm going to do everything with it. I'm going to do nothing with it. Because if you think about it from, let's say, even horses and cars point of view, it's yeah, good luck riding a horse when the whole world is driving cars.
Yes.
Or maybe go to the extreme of getting in your car when you have to go and see the next door neighbor that's 10 feet away. So find the gray area.
But I think you mentioned in the very beginning of that, the curiosity. And I feel like curiosity is what is required to think critically. It's also all the way back to the question that you ask your clients and the companies you work with, why? Think about the why. And maybe we've stopped asking why because we outsourced our thinking.
I do. I agree that curiosity is a great one to start with because curiosity also implies the openness to not keeping it. One of the things that I think is going wrong is people we're going to adopt AI and then it becomes this forced, you're going to do it for everything. And it's not just staying curious to, is this helping with this? And being wrong on some of them. Some of them you'll be right and some of them you'll be pleasantly surprised. Oh, actually, this resolves something that I really didn't enjoy and this helps a lot. Just kind of move past that. And on other things, you might be I was hoping it would do that, but it's just not quite there. And, I'll stay open to it in the future, but I don't have to try and force it now. And there's something important about that open mindset of I'm going to test it out, but I can also let it go. And you're not then attached to I'm going to make this happen at any cost, or I will resist it at every cost.
Yeah, that's true. It's that balance. It's finding the middle ground. Yeah. And I think we're all scared to live there because I think we're all in one way. And so it's oh my gosh, what am I going to miss if I don't go to the extreme and delete all my boundaries completely? So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
reading something somewhere recently talking about things like favorite colors and favorite clothes, stuff like favorite whatever. It's something that a lot of us have favorites of things, favorite foods, favorite whatever. And ultimately it's rarely like the ultimate preference that we have. It's just a mental shortcut. And so maybe this world of extremes is somewhat because it's hard to make that decision over and over again of, is this working out? It's a lot easier to be like, I will do this or I will not at all times, or I will not do this at any time. And if you only have the black and white, then you don't have to go revisit and recalibrate yourself. And there's a lot of mental effort that goes into that, which again goes back to the value of learning how to critically think so that that becomes more of a default and a little easier and a little less taxing, so that it doesn't become something where you feel like you have to live in the black and white. You feel like you can have some of that gray because it's not overwhelming to have to reassess all the time.
Yeah, we're looking for the easy way, like the habit that requires no thinking, no effort. It's like when you go to a restaurant, you get the same thing almost every single time, just because
Hmm.
it's so hard to read the menu and see if you might like something else. It could be as simple as
Yeah.
that, but we're just such creatures of
Yeah.
habit that we have bad habits presented to us, and then we get stuck.
Hmm.
Gotta break them.
Yes. Yep. Definitely gotta break them. Yeah, and we abandon the old habits. Like we pick new ones up, we abandon the old ones, and we can't decide like when is the old one the right one for the situation versus the new one. It's like it's this like black and white. It's these extremes. I'm gonna either work 12 hours a day or I'm gonna work 2. I'm like, what about something in the middle? Maybe I don't know.
And why do we think that the old habits, just because we got away from them, are necessarily bad? Like, I feel like there's
Yes.
a view that they're less than, where
Yes.
they probably, some of them maybe, sure, but not all of them.
Hmm. Yeah.
I was just reading a book on economics and how the world had changed. This was written before AI, but it was talking about how a lot of America, particularly, and some of the UK, once there were things like knowledge industries and internet work, there was this feeling of like, oh, we don't really need manufacturing anymore, but we'll invest our entire economy into basically an economy of ideas. And I mean, we could. It's hilarious. Like in retrospect, you can see how it would just kind of happen generally. It's not like it was like a memorandum of like, we'll never manufacture again, but the emphasis was on anything that wasn't hard in manufacturing, which is hilarious as we all live in manufactured buildings with manufactured things and we
I
all
know.
like only
How are you
create
gonna
things. Like there's
manufacture
clearly,
things?
yeah, the idea was like we can outsource all that and that's not a worthwhile industry. And it's being proven now, obviously, that that's not really a great economic model, and you do need some of those things. You can't just build on ideas that also require somebody else to be manufacturing a bunch of stuff anyway. So somebody else is going to get the reward of that. And so in global politics, there's going to be some move there. So I think there's something to be said for that idea of, yes, their old habits might not always be necessary, or might not be as necessary, but it doesn't mean they're gone, or it doesn't mean there isn't a place for them or a use in knowing them.
Yeah. And it's also like what we choose to value. Cause like going back to your plumber situation, the trades for so long were down on in a way where it's like, no, you don't want to go into any of the trades. You want to do something else. But now we're also realizing that like, oh shit, we need tradespeople to do all these things.
That toilet is not gonna flush itself and stay working.
This
Yeah.
light doesn't turn on and I have no idea what to do about that.
Exactly. So it's like, how do we like? Maybe that just goes back to the extreme again, where it's like instead of recognizing we still need a little bit of everything, it just goes like, nope, just look forward. Don't even look at the other things until you're like, oh shoot, we don't have. Now I have to pay $1 million just to get my electricity fixed or whatever. It's so expensive. We create our own problems.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely good at that.
Take that one from us, AI.
Yeah.
See if you can create
Yes,
more problems faster
exactly.
than we can.
Oh, it definitely does. But yeah, this promise of what I was. Oh, I was writing yesterday a recommendation for a client who wanted a recommendation, and all I wanted was to check the number of characters because there was a character limit. So every single time I tried to put this recommendation in the form, it kept telling me like, no, you're over by 100 characters. And so I kept putting that. I don't know why I did not put it in a Word document. I should have just that. But I was so used to, I had Claude open or ChatGPT open, and so I just kept putting it in. I think it was Claude. Put it in there and be like, okay, like show me, how many characters is this? Still too many. So I would break it down, put it back into the form, thinking like I've got it, like I've counted how many characters I've taken off, and it would still be over. And I'm like, oh my god, like it can't count. Claude cannot count characters. This is what the problem is.
Oh yeah. And I love seeing all the mistakes that it does make.
Yes.
Sense
yes.
of what is it? Was it strawberry? I think you're the
How
one
many
that told me
Rs are
about
in
strawberry. The spelling of it, where it's like, how do you spell the R's or something? And just the insistence on being correct for so many things.
I know.
And if you don't question it, you believe it.
You just go with it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So what's a communication habit that you would like to see back from the past?
Lists of 3 things.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
3 things. So I'm going to give you 3 things because
incomplete sentences with M dashes, please.
Should I pause really long so you know?
Yes.
Yeah, we need to know when the M dash is.
Yes.
Right? I think I would like to see personal communication brought back into things, and not like deep personal, but just human connection of how are you, like reading another person a little bit and just taking a little bit of time before jumping right into that. I would like to see listening and waiting, so not going full speed and rushing into things, but taking a little bit more time. And then I think the last thing I would like to see, because I'm forcing myself to think of a third thing because my brain needs that, is to be okay with mistakes, I think would be the thing, because I think we get so hooked up on them, and one, nobody's paying attention that much anyways. So you make a mistake, and if you just keep going, nobody remembers. But I think the idea of perfection and the false appearance of perfection that maybe is partly due to AI, I don't know, is a problem. So if we could just let some of that go, and to errors, do more of that.
I like all 3 of those. That's great.
Yeah, those are great. Yeah. So we asked you last time, but authenticity changes. What's your definition of authenticity in this new world of chaos?
Dashes and lists of 3. It's the most authentic 3 you could have.
Exactly.
Authenticity right now is, I think, mistakes. I think mistakes is where it is, and not the purposeful ones that you force into the edit of your AI stuff, but mistakes in this, like just taking the pressure off, because I feel like I would hyperfixate on like avoiding everything, and then I'd be more in my head for things. So the more that I feel like there's a lot of learning that can come from it for myself, but also for whoever it is that I'm speaking with. If I have to like pull that internal monologue out for a second and talk through it, I think it benefits everybody, because then the processing and the thinking is visual, because I don't think we see thinking or processing occurring much.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, I recently listened to a podcast that talked about listening, because it was one of your things, and one way to slow down when you're listening to somebody speak is to actually start creating a movie in your head of what they're saying, so that you have a movie. You now have a movie. So that now you're so focused on trying to get the movie to come up that you don't want to rush in and interrupt, because what's the movie happening? What did they do that? And what's next? And what's next in the movie?
Well, that's so interesting. Yeah, I like that. We should all do more of that, and I'm sure that would help with empathy too.
Yes.
Quite a bit.
Yeah,
another thing we're lacking.
Maybe we can train AI models to think about a movie while they're coming up with their LLM. So that finally we don't have to do that anymore.
Right. Somebody else can handle it. It's fine.
Who needs empathy? You get all sorts of empathy from all the AI.
No, thank you.
It's funny because I've actually had to, when in the brainstorming phases of using AI, I've actually had to say it out loud. I had to actually type in, like, do not agree with me. You're not here to agree with me. You're here to help me think through all the angles that I'm not thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
because there is that tendency.
That's a great point. I will try not to
Yes.
agree with you.
Exactly.
It's really good at not pushing back and just saying,
Yes.
"Great idea." And I think that can create a whole nother spiral of problems because people are just a whole bunch of yes men.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you, Bailey. And where can people find you for real communication?
Yeah, so I am on all the social media things as Bailey Massey Global. You can find me on my website, baileymasseyglobal.com, and reach out. Even just send a DM or something. It's always fun to have people just communicate. Do not send me an AI message, though, because it's going to bug me. Be real, make mistakes.
Yes. Yes. Put those M dashes in. 3 points, full sentences with a few mistakes.
Yes.
4 things you'd like to ask Bailey, so it doesn't sound like an AI.
There you go. Yes. Or really switch it up and just do one, and then my mind will explode.
Well, thank you so much.
And thank you.
Yes, thank you, Bailey. And thanks everyone for listening.